Hey everybody, what's going on? This is wilkyb, and in this video we're breaking down the previous video I did. It was a bit longer, and in that video we go over the way that I design maps on Advanced Wars by Web here, and how I design them to be more like a real-time strategy game like StarCraft 2 or Warcraft 3. I'll describe that kind of gameplay, and then we'll go through a replay to demonstrate the things that I talk about with respect to that kind of real-time strategy-like gameplay. And then we're going to compare that map we just saw there with a map committee map. And in a nutshell, I think that map committee maps play out a lot more like a game of chess, where you basically just make it to the middle of the map and then start exchanging pieces. And it's a lot more like a game of chess, in my opinion, like that. So we'll go through a replay and we'll see how that kind of plays out and the way I see it. And then after that, the second part of this video is me introducing my standard of proof that I use. So the standard of proof that I use is in the form of replays. And so on my maps, there's essentially particular build orders that you can do, which lead you into the mid game or like the early game, etc., stuff like that. And I map out a lot of these replays over top of each other, and you can kind of see how there are different build orders and things that you can do, and the strengths and weaknesses of each of them, kind of stuff like that. And then the third part of this video is going to be me talking about my experience as a map maker in this community writ large for the past like 8 years, and in the past 2 years in particular, where I've had this standard of proof that nobody wants to look at because that's not the meaning of the word proof in this community. It doesn't take the shape of replays. It doesn't take the shape of like physical phenomena like a replay. Proof in this community is referring to something that somebody wrote in a book somewhere about like map making principles, which is logical, and you can find some forms of proof within that logical, rule guide or the guide that they have for you. But I've never seen a standard of proof that is so exhausting like mine is, where it kind of tests all of the possible decent move orders and build orders and move sets that don't automatically lose you the game versus an opponent who just plays perfectly, who plays better than you. So the third part, like I said, is me going over the treatment that I've received, where I try to ask people for proof, and yeah, so we'll get more into that. So the first part of this video, like I said, is me describing how I think map committee maps play out a lot like a game of chess. And so they play out like chess in respect that, like, you basically, on map committee maps, you capture the entire economy towards the center of the map, and then you start exchanging pieces at the center like it's a game of chess. And so on this map in particular, there is a bit of interaction between players from the get-go, which is nice to see, because a lot of map committee maps don't have that. But even still, because there's so many starting bases at the beginning of the game, and that the bases are located opposite of the field from each other, it means that there's no ability to rush your opponent down and slow down their economy in any kind of a significant way, like you could on one of my maps, which we'll see in a second here. So because the bases are so far apart, and because the rushing units take so long to do anything to your opponent, and also because they have 3 starting bases where they can produce so much economy so rapidly from turn 1, there's no early game like you might see in my maps. So on this replay and in this map, actually there's more fighting than we've seen in a couple of other previous videos that I've done. But even yet still, the economy is so fully saturated. Like, this entire map is pretty much fully saturated by like turn 11 or turn 12. And there's not a whole lot more economic expansion that you can do. And I'm not a big fan of that. So in a nutshell, I think that map committee maps are competitive. And you can play these maps competitively. And there's very much emphasis on tactical and like exchanging and exchanging pieces and stuff. But they neglect the early gameplay portion of this that this map designer can create. And yeah, that's what I have to say about that. So we're going to have a look at my map, and again, I'll just go over it again quick, is that there's no ability to rush your opponent on these maps. And if there is an ability to do it, it's quite insignificant, where they'll develop the rest of their economy quite safely anyways. So to put things into perspective, we're going to look at my map and see how my map is quite different than this. And so here is my map here. And like I said, this map plays a lot more like real-time strategy, how I've been designing it, where in StarCraft there's like a tit-for-tat, there's your economy and your army kind of grow at the same rate, and then you can choose, do I want to boost my economy or do I want to boost my army and attack my opponent and gain an advantage in one of those two ways. And so on my map, you want to do the same thing, kind of like on map committee maps, is you want to saturate your economy as rapidly as you can, but there's also the problem that you can be attacked by Russian units like a recon. And so for those who aren't familiar on this map, the way I've been testing it is that you want to capture these bases immediately as either player, and then the labs enable the recon rush. So there's lots of different build orders that exist for this map, which we'll get into after this demonstration. But this demonstration itself is to show you that this map kind of plays out a lot more like StarCraft 2, where when you go to expand and increase your production and your economy and stuff, you can be rushed down by your opponent, kind of like what we see in this replay right here. And so you can see that this recon will reach this base and delay it by a turn. And I think this is kind of cool. This is not something that you really see across the board with map committee maps. And yeah, and it's a cool, cool little replay that we see here. Yeah, and so there's a decent amount of you have to kind of choose. Do you want to play economically, or do you want to pump your army and fight towards the middle, or expand towards the outer portions of the map? And so this is what I mean when I say StarCraft 2-like gameplay, is that there's the ability to choose, do I want to economy or attack my opponent, kind of like I just said. And I don't really see this kind of gameplay with map committee maps at all. And when I mention this to the map committee, they just get really butthurt, so so it's kind of funny. The map committee doesn't really like me very much, so anyways, that's too bad, because the map that I've developed here is a lot of fun, and there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do with it, and in particular with the standard of proof that I mentioned. So the standard of proof that I'm talking about is in the form of replays, which it's a lot of work to produce these kinds of replays. I have 9. If you look at the previous video that I uploaded, it's the 40-minute long video, I have 9 different replays that I've farmed after 250 games that I've played, trying to find the right moves to solve the puzzle that is the early game on this map. So what happens is, when you use this standard of proof, then you can compare the different build orders and move sets that exist on a particular map, which may not necessarily work on map committee maps. So I don't know if this is actually something that can be introduced to a different style of map altogether. But you can see that there's different build orders and move sets that you can do that are viable, that won't automatically lose you the game, and I found them for the most part. So I found 9 replays, like I said, and that's testing the economic portion, but I also do believe that there's more replays with respect to economic build orders and move sets. But I also think there's all kinds of replays that I haven't tested for before, which is rushing your opponent down the middle, or rushing maybe their top or bottom base or something. I think there are other ways to play this map that I've not been testing for, that I would be really curious to see other people try to introduce new build orders and stuff like that. So this standard of proof is really cool, and it's really useful. It's really, really useful to compare board states amongst different build orders and stuff like that. So the standard of proof across this genre, like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I think, the standard of proof in this entire genre is pointing to something that somebody wrote, rather than pointing to replays that might prove something that somebody wrote wrong. I hate to say it, but everybody in this community, they don't care about creating replays that disprove things that people say. And the reason for that is because there's a map committee across this entire genre that came from this website in the first place, where if you don't follow their map making rules, then you just get treated like shit. And that's been my experience since day one that I started on this website. So what happens is when you come up with a standard of proof that kind of discredits the things that have been written in the rules and map making guides on this website across this entire genre where this map committee exists, it's the same kind of maps, it's the same kind of 2 base 1 infantry rules, not only just in this game, but in like Wargroove as well. And Wargroove is an even more complicated, very different game than Advance Wars. So I get a bit frustrated at times because I just think that this is a greater standard than what the map committee, like, it's not better than the map committee, because what the map committee has and their map making guides and rules are also kind of true for my maps as well, because my maps have that chess-like gameplay that exchanges in the middle, but you kind of have to balance the economy and the army at the same time as you do it. And so it's funny because a lot of the rules and logic that follows from the map committee rules is also applicable to my map, but then parts of these replays and the build orders and stuff that exist on my maps, they just kind of discredit the things that the map committee and the rules and the map making guides, what they indicate to you. It just kind of discredits the things that they say. So my maps don't follow the logic of the map committee rules, but that doesn't mean that my maps are illogical or broken. And people will make claims about my map, which I'm sure people can relate to this. People will make claims about my map and say that, like, player 1 is completely busted or player 2 is completely busted. But then what happens is people won't back up what the things that they're saying with replays. So it's really annoying because the standard of proof in this genre is referring to the Bible of map making. It's not about creating replays, and it's really, really frustrating. And so what happens, it's funny because the entire community, it's pretty much normalized it is normalized in this society to treat people like shit who deviate from the map making rules. And the reason for that is because the map committee here are insecure. And they don't like, and it's also because they're busy, okay? They have things to do, but the way that they've treated me over the years and the way that community members have normalized treatment in this community because of the map committee and the way that they treat me, it's normal to treat people who deviate from the map committee's rules, to treat them just like shit. And I don't like that. So I am creating a Discord where people can come to create different maps that do things differently, because this map committee is intimidating and people see what's going on. People see how I get treated for doing what I do, and then people don't want to associate with me. So there's a serious weird thing going on in this community across the entire genre, across the 4 games that I mentioned. And it's just really weird. So I make these videos because I just want to document the stuff that goes on, and I'm more interested, like, I love this game and I love making maps and stuff for this game, but it's so awkward when I try to introduce people into this genre, because when I show people these videos and also the people I share these videos with are like adults, and like they're like school teachers and stuff like that, who are also familiar with how this game works, and they played it when they were like, you know, young adults and stuff. And they agree with the demonstrations that I show here, but then when I get into the nasty political part of map making in this community, nobody wants to be involved with it, because if you don't follow the politics of this map committee and you create politics of your own, if you create something significant, this map committee will not bring significance to you because it doesn't follow their rules, and so politics is what ensues. So unfortunately, this is pretty dramatic stuff, and I don't want my channel to be a drama channel, but this is kind of necessary for me to address in order to get people to actually, you know, come out of their shell and create the kinds of maps that I know they have good ideas about. So you can come to my community, you can come to my Discord channel, and you can create maps alternatively to this map committee, and we as a community can bring significance to each other's maps where this map committee will not. If you don't follow the map committee's rules, they'll not bring significance to a significant thing that you're developing, and they'll dogpile on you at every opportunity possible to discredit the things that you say, because honestly, the map committee, they're just full of insecure people. And this community is kind of full of insecure people, if I'm being completely honest. So, not to make people feel bad and not want to associate with Wilky, but honestly, like, this community, people don't stand up to the authorities across this genre, and it's normalized to treat people just really nasty. And so when I go to Discord channels and I try to stick up for myself, people remain silent whenever anybody points at the rules of map making that might be somewhat flawed. And when it's very clear and very precise and very obvious, the things that I say, it's just really fascinating to me. And so I'm probably not going to stop making these kinds of videos ever, because I'm just fascinated by what goes on within this society. So anyways, yeah, so every now and then I'm going to be popping my ugly head into this community to see how things change, and to see if there's going to be more room with respect to map making, because I just get pushed out. So anyways, woe is not me. I'm not a sorry little puppy or anything like that. I have fun. I host tournaments on this map and stuff. But it is a bummer that I get socially outcast for being different. And one thing I'll say that I think is, no, I'm not going to say it. I'll just end the video here. So, okay guys, so thanks for watching, and this is wilkyb, and join the Discord. Okay, thanks, cheers.